Give me a few seconds. Yeah, starting from the title.
The title?
Yes. Okay, now you may start.
Pardon? No.
Yes, you may start now. Just want to repeat you. I mean, just want you to repeat from the first slide.
Oh,
From the
all right. Yeah. So, yeah, I'll start with the anatomy of journals in evidence-based medicine. So as we all know, there are different types of papers, especially in evidence-based medicine, with different levels as well. So as we discussed before, the level starts from expert opinion, and then it gets more filtered as the levels increases. So with increasing levels, it also has less biases. Therefore, as the level increases, it is better for science to use as a scientific measures in medicine. So first we have expert opinion, and then it increases its information to randomized controlled studies, followed by case series, and then cross-sectional studies, case control studies, cohort studies, and randomized controlled trials. And then it gets also better information and more filtered information in evidence synthesis and guidelines, systematic reviews, and meta-analysis. So meta-analysis has the #1 level in evidence-based medicine. So it is the best quality compared to the others. So this is the example of case reports. I took this from Archives of Plastic Surgery. So based on this journal, it is consisted of introduction, and then it proceeds with the case, and then discussion, and then there's notes, which consists of conflict of interest, ethical approval, patient consent, author contribution, and references. And then this one, also from Archives of Plastic Surgery. This is an example of case series. So it started with introduction, and then methods, and then the results. So in the results, the author elaborated more in patient characteristics, treatment, evaluation, prognosis, and they specifically illustrate each cases. So each case 1, case 2, case 3, and so on. And then they proceed with discussion and notes. It's the same as the case report, consisted of conflict of interest, ethical approval, patient consent, author contribution, and references. And this is an example of randomized controlled trials. It started with introduction, with method, results, discussion, and references. This is the type of a randomized double-blind study. And then this is an example of systematic reviews. It started with introduction, methods, results and discussion, limitations, conclusion, notes, which consisted of conflict of interest, author contribution, and references. And then this is an example of meta-analysis. It started with introduction, and then methods, and they also added a little bit of literature research, data extraction, quality assessment, statistical analysis, and definitions. And they have separate section for results and discussion, conflict of interest statement, funding, and references. So this is the guide for authors. This is specifically made for the case reports, because the International Journal of Surgery, they have different journal for case reports. So they have separate journal for only case reports. And based on these guides, they use the SCARE guideline for reporting case reports. So these are the checklists. We have to make sure that is given by the case reports every time we want to upload the report. So it consists of a title, keywords, 3 to 6 keywords with abstract, introduction, patient information, clinical findings, a timeline, diagnostic assessment, therapeutic intervention, follow-up, and outcomes. And I'll continue with the guide for authors for other types of papers. So for RCTs, they use the CONSORT guideline. For systematic reviews, they use the PRISMA flowchart and checklist. For cohort, case control, and cross-sectional, they use the STROCSS guidelines. And for case series, they use the process guidelines. This is an example for the CONSORT checklist for RCT. So they specifically have every item for each section, title, introduction, methods, and they also have like different methods here so that we need to make sure that it is within the checklist requirement. And then the results, discussion, and other information. And this is the flow chart to be, this is the flow chart for randomized controlled trials. And this is the PRISMA checklist. It's the same. They have every item for title, abstract, introduction, methods, results, discussion, and funding. And this is the flow chart for PRISMA. And this is the STROCSS checklist. This is for case control and cross-sectional studies. These are the checklists. And this is the process for case series reports. So based on all of the guidelines, they have a mutual article structure that our word limits should not exceed 4,000 words, including references. And then the subdivision for number sections should be clearly defined and numbered. So example, 1.1 and then followed by 1.1.1. So they use numerical sections. And then for the title page information, it should it has to contain a title, author names and affiliations, corresponding author, and present and permanent address. And then for the abstract, it has to be maximum 300 words with the following structure: background, materials, methods, results, and conclusion. And for keywords, maximum six words using British spelling and avoiding general and plural term and multiple concepts such as if and and. And then tables and equations should be presented as editable text and not as images. So that's it, Doc, from what I read before.
Okay, thank you very much. I think it would be just good if we combine with what NG has so that we could discuss it by confronting the differences or the contradictory findings if you have from your perspective. And we have also Timothy and Singi to live up the discussions later on. All right, you will stop sharing.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you. Angie.
Yes, Doc. So, do I start my?
Yes, please.
Do I start my presentation now? Okay. So, Thank you for the presentation, Ilona. I think my presentation is like quite almost similar to Ilona's, and I don't really find any contradictory findings, but I will try to explain it maybe from what I know. So the same as what Ilona has already said before, I gave this graphic to show what kind of scientific paper are in the internet and in the world. So there are big expert opinion, and then there's case reports, and then the most filtered one are the systematic reviews. So just these are the definition and of the types of paper. Just yeah, meta-analysis is the systematic reviews that use quantitative method to summarize the results. So it's the most critical one. This is the anatomy of the scientific paper. They usually have title, abstract, introduction, method, result, discussion, conclusion, and acknowledgement. I have the definition of each. So the title must be easy to be understood and cataloged, and it must be concise, specific, and convey the main idea. It must be short, unambiguous, and without abbreviations. And the abstract is the resume of the manuscript, and it's always written last. It's actually a summary of the background, method, results, and conclusion. It always answers the why did we start, what did we do, what did we find, and what does it mean. So it's basically is all this introduction, method, result, and conclusion. So the introduction is why the author conducted the study, and it is introduced as an inverted triangle. So it represents the general information first, and then they will what is it called? Merucut ke focus of the specific problem. And the method is written, should be in detail to allow the other researchers to replicate that work. And the result is the highly essential part of a scientific paper, of course. And they said we use the word significant and non-significant accordingly. Discussion is the effective solution to the issues that we said on the introduction. So we should start with the major findings of the study and then provide answers to testable hypotheses relevant to existing knowledge. And the anatomy is similar, it's an inverted pyramid. And the conclusion is the part that readers always want to remember, and the most important part for me. And the acknowledgement is optional, it's always brief and never flowery. And yeah, it's for acknowledging people that helps you on the paper, I guess. And the reference in the original article, should 25 to 30 references are sufficient. I took this from a journal, but from each introduction of author, I guess they have their own reference minimum for each journals. And we can use EndNote Web, Mendeley, and Zotero to help us organize our reference better. So I took this from the JPress and JPress Open. This is the guidelines that Ilona has set for each types of paper. You can use STROBE for case reports, cohort and patient studies, and PRISMA for meta-analysis and systematic reviews, and CONSORT for RCTs. And these are used, I guess, for the same as what Ilona has already picked, the journal that Ilona has picked. For case report, this is the sample. They usually have the case report sign at the top, like over here. So it consists of the case the introduction itself, the case report, the result, the conclusion, ethical approval, funding, conflict of interest, and reference. This is the STROBE guideline. Oh, my animation is gone. We should have been able to see what's behind the doodle. Oh, here it is. So these are the guidelines that we should use you can see that we have the title, the introduction, the method, and then the result, discussion, and other information like the fundings. So in randomized controlled trial, in this journal that I took, they have the introduction, material and method, results, discussion, conclusion, and kind of similar to the previous one. This is the CONSORT checklist, the same title, abstract, method, and then result, discussion, and other information. So it's kind of basically the same, but different checklists. This is the flow diagram. And in meta-analysis, this is the review that I got. It's a systematic and meta-analysis at the same paper. These are the components of the systematic reviews and meta-analysis. This is the checklist that we use for meta-analysis. It's PRISMA 2009. So we can just go according to this checklist to make meta-analysis journals. Oh, this is the, what is this? Sorry. This is the instruction for authors in JPress. I took it from that website. I tried to find the score for the JPress. It's 3.4. I still don't quite understand how to interpret this, but the more the impact factor is, it should be, the journal should be more, what do you call it? Terpercaya, more, yeah. And the journal scope of the JPress is for plastic surgery significant paper. And the policy is the English language, and it's a single blind review process. They have a language editing service if you want to be helped by the English, but they said it's not mandatory and will not guarantee an acceptance. And this is the web where we could do our online submission. And they have an open access for, they can make our journal an open access, but it's a fee of $3,300. And this is the standardized reporting guideline for JPress. This is the same thing that I have said before. And they have this ethics that we use, we have to follow if we use involving people, medical records, and anonymized human tissue, or even animals. And we have to give a covering letter that we said that we have read the guide for author. And the preparation, and the main article types that JPress will accept is original research paper and review paper. And they have this, they said that they should not be more than 3,000 words in original articles with 40 references, no more than. So in the review paper, no more than 4,000 with 80 reference. And for other article types, JPress don't accept case report and short reports anymore. And they said that we can submit it on JPress Open, so it's a different journal. The title page is actually the same that what I have described before, the title page and the summary, but this is for the JPress itself. It's no more than 250 words. And the text itself have introduction, materials, patient and method, result and discussion for the headings. And they want the drug names to be generic names. And the abbreviation should be avoided in the title and summary. Numbers, we should use SI throughout. And the table should be double spaced, contain only horizontal rules, and you cannot submit this as photograph, the same as what Ilona has already said in her previous journal reading. And a short descriptive title should appear above each table. Footnotes suitably identified below. And figures should be submitted online as separate files. And the patient confidentiality, I actually read it somewhere else that we should cover the eyes if possible. And the supplementary is to be submitted by itself too. And the references should be cited in the text in numerical order, not alphabetically. And Mendeley can help a lot for that. And this is the example. And copyright is, it will be a contribution property of the BAPRAS if we submit it to JPress. Yes. And well, it's a little bit of our task to familiarize ourselves with Microsoft SPSS. I don't actually master it yet, but I tried to play with SPSS a bit, and I tried to do some, what do you call it? Chi-square scientific stuffs. So this is a questionnaire I found in the internet, and this is the data in SPSS that I got. So I tried to, this is the variable view. This is the study that I did. So if it's a categoric by categoric, then I can use chi-square for it. If we want to find out whether the two categories variable are associated with each other, we can just use the descriptive statistic, the cross tab, and then click the statistic and then just click the chi-square. And then the score will appear in the SPSS. It's just that simple. This is the other sample I tried with another sample in the internet. And to interpret it, if it's the, this is the A value of A value is under 0.0.05. So if the P value is like this, it means that it is significant. And if it is significant, it means that the H0 is rejected. That means there is an association between the row and the column. This is another sample. This is my project and internship program. So we found that the p-value is 0.001. So it is significant. So there is an association between medication adherence and controlled blood pressure. Thank you, Doc.
Okay, great. Thank you very much to both of you. I see the difference in terms of the task and points that you presented, but both of you complementing to each other, which is good for everyone to learn. So now I would like to invite any questions, be it from the two of you or from Timothy or Singi. You're all welcome to discuss the points or whatever that you see, anything that you do not really understand or you're still confused about. So Angie, you mentioned about stroke as one of the guide, but you did not really clear for what type of research that stroke is used for.
Stroke is used for case reports,
Is that?
cohort studies and patient studies. Yes, that's what I read.
Stroke. And what about Ilona? What do you get to guide people with case report?
I found that for the case reports, they use the SCARE guidelines.
Okay. So now you realize that there are probably some guides that you could use. So knowing that there are different guides in writing a certain type of paper, so that you need to refer to the instructions of authors of any specific journals. Timothy, what did you find in terms of the case report? I mean, guide for case report when you were taking chance to learn this after my instructions to do so.
Yeah, from the discussion that we had before, for case report, we use the carestatement.org, the guideline from care-statements.org.
All right. Now, once again, you confirm that the guide, for example, this for case report may be different. And then we need to follow the journal's instructions to author.
Yes.
But of course, if we only discuss about case report, then we are only taking the low level of evidence. And in many journals, the high-ranked journals, reputable journals, they don't take case reports anymore. So that's why some other journals popped up recently, not long than many other journals that provide or facilitate only the type of this case report just to accommodate many people who are not able to publish their work by case report. So we are to be very critical in reading case reports because the case reports need also to be following the guides, and also it is mandatory for us to appraise the quality of the case report itself and compare it with the existing literatures, whether the case report really provides significant contributions. In fact, we understand the level is very low, so not really give us significant contributions, but we cannot just stop the world or people from publishing the type of case report, because there are potential of people to come with breakthrough through case report. Okay, so what do you see, Angie or Ilona, in regards of the same guide that most of the world follow? So far, this guide is actually universal for all journals, if it is not almost all journal, I mean, on the contrary, if it is not all journals, but most journals follow the guide. Sorry for that. So from your two presentations, you see that, oh, okay, we get the same guide for a specific type of journals or type of publications, type of research, type of study. Yeah, this is embarrassing. Embarrassing when, using the line of this hospital and disconnected. This is already the third time for me to be disconnected. So any response, Ilona or Angie? PRISMA guideline as an example. So if you if you want to spend time and you see many journals in whatever disciplines or medicine, I mean, area in medicine, then you would see that people just, consent into the use of that PRISMA guideline, just an example. But for CONSORT, another example, what CONSORT is for?
For RCTs, Doc.
All right. So do you see any other guide from your searching, NG, the guide for RCT?
I also find CONSORT as the guide for randomized controlled trial.
What did you find, Timothy?
Same, doctor. CONSORT as well.
Right. I believe Singhi also follows that PRISMA and CONSORT are two of the guides that are used universally. What about the STROCSS? Ilona, what is for the cohort study or case control study?
Yeah, they use the STROCSS, Doc.
The STROCSS. And I see that, yeah, I see that NG got it different. What did you find, NG?
Yeah, in JPRESS, they use STROBE also for case report, cohort, and patient study. So the three of them use STROBE.
And that's quite unique because it's kind of like not specific. And the strobe is also used for case report. All right. So any questions now in regards of statistic? Singhi, do you have any questions in regards of the statistic, specifically based on NG's presentations, if you have?
No, Doc.
Okay, Ilona?
So far, I don't have any questions.
Okay, but all of you, I think it would be good for all of you to go through the process of using the SPSS or any other platform. You're also welcome, but mostly people use this SPSS. This is not the only one as well. All right. Okay, my last point to ask the two of you whether any other points that you haven't still presented. I mean, you haven't presented based on the two presentations that you have made. It's all set. The anatomy of the journals, and you recognize also the process of submissions by knowing the instructions of the author. Mostly NG has addressed that, and the experiences on using SPSS. Is there any other points that we haven't seen from your presentations?
I don't think there is anything else that we might add right now, maybe later or yeah, but the point is we've already said it.
Okay. In regards of references, did I also ask you to go for understanding the reference manager, I mean, such as EndNote and Mendeley?
Yeah, we already took a look at Mendeley. I've already used it also on my koas? Clinical years. Yeah, clerkship.
Okay,
no,
good.
But I haven't
And
took
Ilona?
any screenshots for it.
Yeah.
Okay, and Ilona also has familiarized yourself with Mendeley or any other platform?
Yeah, I've used Mendeley before, And based on the International Journal of Surgery, they have their own style for referencing. So they are linked to Mendeley. So we can also click on the link and then it'll automatically be added to Mendeley. So I think different journals also have different styles on referencing. So I think we should pay attention to the referencing style as well on different journals.
Okay. Singi, did you also experience in using Mendeley?
I already use Mendeley, though.
Okay. What about Timothy? Did you ever use other than Mendeley?
Not yet, though.
The Mendeley.
I'm still using Mendeley and still familiarizing with it.
Okay. All right. So I think that's all for now. Thank you very much for Indy and Ilona. I will come or be in touch with you for the next assignment. And I still have the chance to discuss the assignment with Singi, but I'm not sure whether I would be available for this afternoon, as I also have the appointment with my residents in the evening. Maybe I will finish before 10, and I do not think that I will still have the energy after 10 being, being engaged with so long list for today. So Singi, just be patient, and I hope that the computer, Timothy's computer would finish soon and fix so that you could proceed with
he bought a new computer.
Oh, really? Wow,
Yeah, doctor.
congratulations. Wow.
Yeah, daughter finally buy new computer.
The
Because
latest series?
just last night, doc.
Wow, cool. Congratulations. So we need to celebrate the new computer. Okay, thank you then. Yeah, I'll see you around.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you,